If you are a landlord or if you have thought about investing in rental property, this video is for you. Today we are in Hyde Park, Boston, and I wanted to share with you guys a huge lesson learned from this two-family in the back where we spent $61,000 dealing with one tenant. My name is Enis with Whiteacre Properties, and this channel is about real deals, real numbers, and lessons learned. And the lessons is where we're gonna focus today. But before we jump into the video, I need three things from you. Please subscribe to the channel, like this video, and comment below so I can get your feedback and the questions. So let's jump into the video. You know that we buy real estate directly from homeowners. We very rarely look at property on the MLS because it's so competitive, right? And we don't want to pay top dollars. So we do direct mail, we do cold calling, but we also work with agents a lot. And if you're an agent watching this, keep us in mind. This was a lead from an agent, what's called a pocket listing. What that means is that it's not on the MLS yet, but this agent had a property for sale and the seller is ready to go. So they came to us knowing that we like Hyde Park, we like Boston, and they thought this two-family would be a good fit for us. We came in. Typically, when we get a lead like that, we drive to the property, we do our due diligence. First thing we noticed when we got here is that this is a huge lot. It's close to 20,000 square feet in Hyde Park. This location, it's a big lot. So we looked at the two-family, not as a rental property per se, but as a development opportunity. Next door to it, we saw the brick building. It's 14 units. So in our mind, we're already planning as a development opportunity, right? Take the two-family down and build 20, 30 unit building instead of it. That was exactly what attracted us, and we rushed with it. We said, let's put this offer in writing. Let's put this deal under contract contingent on permits. That didn't work out. The seller didn't want to wait too long until we got permits in hand, but he was willing to give us a discount if we bought as is and inherit tenants. So this is the most important part because we buy as is all the time. Buying a property, we do our inspection as is, we're comfortable with that. This is what we do day in and day out. And buying and inheriting tenants is also very common for us because that's how we typically get a discount. We say, sure, no problem, we'll inherit the tenants. We have done this a lot, and in the past, we got tenants to vacate after we give them notice to vacate. Typically, we'll do what's called cash for keys. We'll buy a property, go to the tenant and ask them to leave. Maybe we give them 30, 60, or 90 days free of rent for them to plan their move, and we give them $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 for their moving expenses. Why are we doing that? Well, it helps us to then get a building that we can go fix it up and bring it to the finish line. So it's a win-win for both parties. Unfortunately, on this one here, guys, and that's where our mistake number one is, we purchased the property without doing a thorough due diligence on the tenants itself. That was the main issue. We got so comfortable that we can get people out with cash for keys and working with them that we said to the seller, sure, we'll buy as is and inherit your tenants if you give it to us at X price. He agreed to the price and we closed on it. We got one unit vacant, which was unit 1, thank God, and unit 2, there were 4 people living in this 5-bedroom apartment. It's a duplex apartment. You got second and third floor, and you had 4 roommates living together and each paying somewhere between $400 and $500. The big mistake for us was not knocking on doors before closing and having a conversation with these tenants. What do you guys do for work? How long have you been here? Are there issues with the property that we should fix once we buy it? Having this conversation, sitting down with them and understanding who these people are is extremely, extremely important because then you can make a judgment call to say, do I buy the property with these tenants or not? Anytime you're buying property with tenants in place, they become your tenants after closing. It's not like they're gonna leave on the day of closing. They become your tenants, and you gotta ask the seller for what's called a estoppel certificate. It's a document that pretty much will share the name of the tenant, the agreement they had with the prior landlord. That's extremely important, right? Are they paying $1,000 a month or $10,000 a month? And then tenant will sign the document. Even though we got an estoppel certificate, that wasn't enough in this case because we had 4 people in there and we needed to understand their personalities and what they do for a living and maybe go through a thorough screening process, which is get their credit score, get an idea where they work, right? Get their pay stubs. We want to understand if they can afford the unit. We really don't want to deal with evictions after we buy the property. So we purchased the property and we're all excited. Anytime we have a closing, obviously it's a good day. Then within 2 or 3 months, the rent stopped coming. We were able to work with 3 of the 4 tenants. We're able to pay cash for keys. Also, I went above and beyond. I used my own truck and I got a friend to help me relocate one of the tenants from here to their family house. And I did that personally, got all their important stuff in my truck and moved them over and gave them, I believe, close to $3,000 in cash. We did that with 3 people, and then we struggled with the 4th tenant. Unfortunately, this gentleman had a disability. He didn't want us to meet him in person, struggled with communication. So at that point, you're stuck. If you cannot get your message across, if you can't collaborate with your tenant for a solution, there's not much you can do, and you are forced to do an eviction if you want the tenant to vacate. This tenant willing to pay us $400 a month. That's what he was paying before we purchased the property. And he said, guys, I'm gonna pay the same amount. I'm not going anywhere. I can't afford another place. I don't have the resources to go anywhere and find another place. So I'm gonna keep sending you the $400 because I got no other option. When we sent him a notice to quit, it wasn't for non-payment. Typically, when you send a notice to quit, and what that means is a form here in Massachusetts that you fill out when you want your tenant to leave. And you give them 30 days if they are month to month. In this case, it wasn't for non-payment because he's paying his fair share. That's what he's telling us. Even though we, as for the whole apartment, are looking for $2,000, he's saying I'm paying my fair share. And now we got to start what's called a non-fault eviction because he's paying rent, but we still need him out. And the reason why we want him out is because the apartment is falling apart. It needs everything. You guys are probably seeing the image here, but it's in really, really bad shape. So we can't have any tenants living here. It's a really bad place to live. Regardless, we could not get this gentleman out. So unfortunately, we got to start the eviction process. What does an eviction process cost in Massachusetts in 2024? If you are an experienced landlord, you probably have gone through this and had a different experience. But for us, it was extremely difficult. When you add everything up, we spent over $60,000 to get that one tenant out of one unit. That's a lot of money. And if you are in Massachusetts, you got to understand that we are very tenant friendly here. Court system, the judges, they're very tenant friendly, and you got to keep that in mind. So why did we spend over $61,000? Right off the bat, you got to bring an expert as far as an attorney. You got to bring somebody that has a lot of experience with evictions, and you tap into them as a resource. They got to guide you. And there is a bunch of attorneys out there, but you got to find a really good one, affordable, hopefully, and engage them to help you with the eviction. You do not want to do an eviction on your own, guys, because there is a lot of moving parts. And if you need a referral, comment below, reach out to me directly at Enis@whiteacreproperties.com, and I'm happy to connect you with our attorney. Now, with that said, that's the first step. You hire an attorney so they can handle all the paperwork. Second thing is that any communication you have with the existing tenant needs to be in writing, through text message, through email. If you have a software like we do, Appfolio, every communication got to be there. The rent deposit's got to be there. So keep that in mind. You got to stay extremely organized so you can prove anything you did. The third thing is, a lot of people know this, but I want to make sure that you guys are aware, you cannot force a person out. You cannot change locks on their doors because that's illegal. So be very careful if you're thinking of doing any of that. Then you have to go through the court system. Unfortunately, it took us 6 months to get to the first mediation session. Before you go in front of a judge, the court system wants you to engage the tenant and see if you can find a solution. So we engaged the gentleman multiple times, and he went to a nonprofit locally and got 2 attorneys, obviously paying for my attorney. He's getting 2 attorneys free of charge, and our attorneys are communicating to find a solution. When we filed for eviction, this gentleman filed a lawsuit to us for the property being in bad shape. And this is the second lesson I wanted to share with you guys, that you can buy real estate as is and inherit tenants, but you still have to provide a safe environment for people to live in. That's our responsibility. That's our duty as a landlord. And the duty and responsibility of the tenant is to take care of that unit and pay a rent. But we, in the first place, got to make sure everything is working, everything is safe, right? Everything is in good shape. And unfortunately for this unit, it wasn't. And that's why we bought it, right? We wanted to buy it as is and either demolish it or fix it up. So we couldn't do that with tenants in place. It's very difficult. It's catch-22. However, he used that towards us to say, you guys are at fault here too. Yes, we want him out, but we are also at fault for the property condition. Now that becomes even more difficult because he's suing us. We want him evicted. What happened is that we had multiple mediation sessions. We did not go to a judge. The feedback I got from my own attorney is that it doesn't look good to go in front of a judge with the issues we got here, because we might get actually a negative verdict right towards us and pay triple damages. Like, we might lose this case because we haven't fixed up the property the way it should be, and we're gonna have to pay triple damages. So we took advantage of the mediation sessions to come up with a solution. And the solution is to pay this tenant cash for keys, $25,000, give him 8 months to find a place, and in the meantime, he stays free of rent. And at that point, we take our unit back. We put this in writing, it gets recorded at the court, and now we wait the 8 months to get the property in the shape that you guys are seeing it right now. But we paid $25,000 to them. We paid $10,000 in fees to our attorney, and we lost over 12 months of rent on a property that we could have rented for $3,000 a month. So that loss of rent is also damaging, because if you guys own the property, you are still paying utilities, you're still paying mortgages, you're still paying property tax, but you're not collecting rent. So you are at a negative, right? And that can be extremely painful. What we do right now is that we ask for references. Obviously, we want to know their landlord, who is their prior landlord, and ideally we want to get 2 names of landlords from the prior years, not just one, because sometimes this last one want to give a good reference just to get rid of the tenant. So you want to go back to landlords, and then you want to get, like I said, a pay stub. You want to get their background check, criminal background check, and credit score, because that whole information will give you a better picture of who you're working with, who you're going to deal with. When it comes to income, when it comes to pay stubs, we want the tenant to get paid 3 times the rent. So if our rent that we're charging is $1,000 a month, at a minimum, we want them to get a salary or monthly payment of $3,000 a month. So that's how we look at it. And the more screening you do, the better. And we're happy that we got approved from the Zoning Board of Appeals, and we're looking forward to building and bringing tenants here down the road. But still, guys, it's still worth it to go through everything we went through and get a 28 unit out of this lot where we can develop it and keep it as a multifamily rental long term. Guys, that's all I got for you today. I tried to put all the information about this deal, all the lessons learned in one place. I'm hoping that you can take some golden nuggets out of it, some lessons learned and apply to your business. I am an open book. I love to share with you guys, and we do this through our meetup events. We do it through the classes that we host at the office. Click below, put your email address, put your name for the newsletter that goes out once a month from Whiteacre. And that's where we put everything, guys. We share our meetup events. We share any classes that we do for free at the office. And also follow us online, guys, at Whiteacre Properties on Instagram and Facebook. And I would love to meet you in person. We host a meetup event that's really good, really exciting. We meet with local investors and brainstorm and get to hang out together to really learn from each other, collaborate, and just grow together as real estate investors. Hope to see you there. In the meantime, like I said, comment below, share, give me some feedback. It's difficult, guys, talking to the camera, and I want to hear from you. So it takes 5 seconds, but like, share, subscribe to the channel, and comment below. Yeah, that's it. Catch you on the next one.